Welcome to Goldfish on Games and Budget Game Reviews, and today's subject of a cheap review is Super Sports for the ZX Spectrum. This is obviously the budget Kicks release, but it was originally made by Gremlin Interactive. Now, as we can see, it is effectively just a cassette in a box, and the fold-out bit of cardboard gives us the instructions on how to play the game. And it's multiple games because this is a track and field or daily Thompsons Decathlon style game. So let's boot it up and give it a go. The game kicks off with this absolute banger of a ZX Spectrum tune, and it's all done on the beeper as well. Gilbert will quickly introduce himself as the commentator, and he will stick around in that corner for the entire game, so you better get used to seeing his face. You have up to 4 players, each which might be stereotyped in some way. So let's add in a few of my YouTuber and streaming friends who also play 8-bit machines. The first game is a classic of these type of collections, as it's a sharpshooter, in which you have to hit targets when they pop up. Most can be hit multiple times for more points, and the ones moving are obviously worth more. The hardest and highest scoring are those that are thrown in. As the targets pop up at random, they can be quite spaced out, so you can end up chasing your tail when you're trying to get them, if you're not careful. And on the subject of tails, don't shoot the cats, as not only will the internet not forgive you, but you'll also lose points. The controls pretty much stay the same across the entire game. If you're using the keyboard, it's Q and W for left and right, and L and P for up and down, with the spacebar being action. Now, as we can see, there's a touch of colour clash, but it actually looks pretty nice with some fun animated touches. When you finish a game, your points will be converted to a score, which is tallied up each round. Who will win? Well, we'll just have to wait to the end to find out. The second game is the High Dive, which is suitably silly. If you've not guessed this by now, this really isn't a serious take on the genre. You have the choice of how high you want to jump from, with 400 feet being the highest. As you get points for being higher, and you get more time for doing tricks while falling, I don't see any real reason to ever go to the lower heights. Though you do have to be careful, as you need to hit that barrel dead on. Miss it and well, his foot's twitching, so I'm sure he's fine. It would have been nice if they had unique sprites for each player, but seeing that we get that big portrait in the bottom right hand corner, I guess it's not quite as needed. When it comes to scoring, you get 3 attempts, with your best being chosen for your score. The third game is plate smashing, which I'm sure isn't an Olympic sport, but let's run with it, or stand, as it might be in this case. The goal is to, well, smash plates, which are held up by 2 sumos either side of you. They will position them low, medium and high, and you have to use various moves to try and break them. You get more points for the fancier moves, and you get double points if you hit 2 at the same time. So it is a mix of trying to use the best moves for the job, while also trying to take down as many as possible. As most of the screen is static, it has this nice touch that birds will randomly fly in and around the stage, which makes it feel much less empty. As with the previous round, there is only a single sprite for all players, and this is something we'll see for the rest of the game. And I have to say, it is a little bit of a pity there wasn't any female characters to choose from. The fourth round is another shooting game, but this brings out the power meter, which means we have to waggle our joystick or bash those keys to build up the strength in the crossbow. Once you feel you got enough strength, you can hit the spacebar to lock it and then take aim. You'll have to fight both gravity and the wind, which is shown with that wind gauge, and if it's negative it's blowing right to left, and if it's positive it's left to right. It's constantly changing, so you can try and wait for it to die down, but remember, you are timed. So you need to be pretty quick, but there's also a limited number of targets that you can go for, so again it becomes this bit of a balancing act. As you might have been able to tell so far, sound effects are used sparingly, typically just to highlight specific points. And there is this odd bit of music, but they are reserved for between the rounds, and it does actually sound pretty good, so I'm guessing they're using all the CPU time just to generate it. And we come to the final game, which is the underwater assault course. Okay, it seems we completely left sports behind us, and we're now into uncharted territory. The objective of this game is to try and make it to the end of this surprisingly deadly route, as you have to deal with jellyfish, octopuses, as well as mines. This course really wasn't well thought out, and I don't think the designers expected you to make it all the way to the end, as there's no flag or anything, it just stops. You'll also need to keep an eye on your oxygen meter, so you'll have to come up for air every so often, so you can't stay underwater forever. And while you're underwater, if you're very good, you might be able to go for the tyre rings to get some bonus points, or even pick up the coins, which is actually easier said than done. And with all the events complete, let's check the final scoreboard, and well, it seems that I might have just come first. Who would have thought it? This was totally not rigged at all. And I'm sure the King of Spectrum, the master of the high scoreboards, and the expert in repairing will not be screaming for a rematch. And until next time, I was the Goldfish, that was a gold medal that I won fair and square, and this was Goldfish on Games. Thank you for watching this budget game review. I do hope you enjoyed it. And if you've got memories of this game, good or bad, I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. And if you really enjoyed the video, then there's buttons below that you know what to do with. Or if you're not sure yet, then there's 2 other videos on screen that you can check out right now.